Hello and welcome. I'm Josh Fossgreen, and today I'm going to teach you how to play a 2-octave G minor scale. And this is using the same framework that we used to play a 2-octave C major scale a couple lessons ago. Okay, so again, that's what's really cool about this 2-octave framework, is that it works for major, minor, any of the modes of melodic minor, and a variety of other different scales. So there's a lot of benefit to learning this framework because you can apply it in a lot of different places. And the benefit of being able to play scales in multiple octaves in the first place is that it gives you a lot more creative options so that you're not stuck in a little position. You can actually move around the neck and not get lost. And it also makes it easier to learn bass lines too, if doing fills and being creative and stuff isn't your focus as much as just learning bass lines. A lot of bass lines require you to move around the neck, so being versed in scales that incorporate shifts is a really great way to be able to play those bass lines without getting lost as well. Let's launch right into this. Click here to download the PDF so you can follow along today. It is free, and there's sheet music and tablature there, as well as left-hand fingerings. So what you will see there is a 2-octave G minor scale. And when I say minor in this case, I'm referring to the aeolian mode, the natural minor scale, okay, not harmonic or melodic minor. So we've got a sheet music staff, and then there are 4 different tablature staffs, and these all correspond to that same sheet music staff. They just have a different arrangement of notes on the neck, which correspond to the different places we can shift in this 2-octave framework. So let's review quickly what this framework is in case you need a refresher, or if you didn't watch the major scale video, which I would recommend that you do, but do what you please. So we play 3-note chunks all the way through the scale. When we run out of notes on the G string, we shift pinky to index and finish the scale. So by doing the pinky to index shift, we're able to play a 2-octave scale with only one shift, rather than doing multiple shifts, which I find is very confusing for students at first. So this helps to simplify the process of moving through the range by keeping it simple with the one shift. So you can do that shift on any of the 4 strings. All you have to do is pick the string you want to shift on. Let's say I want to shift on the A string. I play 3-note chunks on the E string, 3-note chunk on the A string. Then when I finish my 3-note chunk on the A, I shift pinky to index to the next scale note and keep playing 3-note chunks till I finish the scale. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then same thing back down. Let's say I want to shift down on the E string. I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that I've finished my 3-note chunk, I shift index to pinky and finish up the scale. Okay, so all the same rules apply whether I'm shifting on the G string, or the D string, or the A string, or the E string. Let's try the top tab staff together with the shift on the G string. We're going to do this nice and slow to start with, as quarter notes to this click, which is at 75 BPM for your reference. So we're just going to play like this. Nice and slow the first time, and then we'll pick up the pace as we go. Ready? Let's do this together. 1, 2, 3, 4. A string, D string, keep going, G string, run out of notes, shift, hang there, and back down. Shift. We'll do that one more time and I'll explain more as we go. So 3-note chunks, just playing through the G minor scale, up to the 9th, keep going on the G string, pinky, index, shift, hang there, repeat, 1, 2, 3, shift, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the reason it's 3-note chunks, by the way, is that's just the consequence of the bass being tuned the way it is. If we were tuned in fifths, you'd have to play 4-note chunks to go horizontally. But since we're tuned in fourths, once you play 3 scale notes, if you want to keep playing through the scale without shifting, you have to change strings. Okay, so that's why this 3-note pattern establishes itself for playing a horizontal position on the bass. And I should say at this point, since you might already be thinking it, gosh, some of these stretches feel pretty horrible. Like especially when you get here, Okay, like from F to G to A or from B flat to C to D. So what you want to do there, if it feels bad for your hands, which is very, very likely, is to do something I call micro shifting, which looks like this. Okay, so I'm using the same fingerings, and this I tend to use 1, 2, 4 when I do that shape. You could do 1, 3, 4 if you want. Rather than doing this stretch, which you might hate, just do this. Okay, so I'm still using the same fingering, but I'm not having to maintain, when I fret this note, I don't have to maintain that finger stretch. I can just bring it in, and then when I go to the pinky, just bring these guys in. Just kind of gradually moving through the position. Okay, so that is the thing to do if you don't feel happy with those stretches. So no complaining. Let's play this with the G string shift again. Now we'll do it at twice the tempo as eighth notes. Okay, so same click tempo, but now we're playing eighth notes. And 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right, here we go. 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and. Shift. Shift. One more time. Pinky index, back down, index pinky. Okay, always the same fingering on the shift. Now let's try the D string shift. So we're gonna play all the way through our low position, play through the D string notes, 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna shift pinky to index on the D string, which brings us from an A to a B flat. So it's another half step shift, right? G string's a half step, D string's a half step. So we play our D string notes, 1, 2, 3, shift to index, play 1, 2, 3, go to the G string, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Always 3-note chunks. That's very helpful to keep that in mind. Let's try this together with the click. 1, 2, 3, D string shift. Pinky index, back down on the D string. Pinky. Again. Pinky index, hang there and back down. Index pinky. Another way you can think of this shift moving thing that we're doing, moving the shift to different strings, is to think about the shape of a unison on the bass, which is 5 frets and 1 string apart. So like if I want an open D note on the A string, I go to the 5th fret, right? Because the strings are tuned 5 frets apart. So if I want a 3rd fret F from the D string to go to the A string, I go up 5 frets to the 8th fret, and same thing in reverse if I'm going to a higher string. So another way you can think of this shift moving business is that if I'm going to move the shift from the D string to the A string, I'm taking my D string notes from the low position, F, G, and A, and I'm just going down a string and adding 5 to the fret number. So instead of 3, 5, 7 on the D, now it's 8, 10, 12 on the A, right? So you can actually think of that whole chunk as being transposed over to the A string rather than, okay, makes sense? Let's try this together as eighth notes with a shift on the A string. So we're gonna play through our position on the low end on the A string, then shift up to index into the high position and play 3-note chunks. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Shift. Back down, stay up here. 1, 2, 3, shift to pinky. Again. Pinky index. Back down. Index pinky. Okay, final shift on the E string. We just play 1, 2, 3 in the low position, then shift up to index on the next note of the scale, which is the 4th. And again, we can just think of the notes we would play on the A string in the low position and just move that whole chunk over to the E string and up 5 frets. Okay, so if that's helpful, you can think of it that way. Here we go, E string shift. 2, 3, 4. index, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, index, pinky. Let's bring it all home. Let's go G string shift up and down, D string, A string, E string, all as one unit. Okay, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and G string shift first time. So stay in the low position, then shift. Back down the G string. Remember to micro shift if your hand's uncomfortable with the stretches. Now D string shift. Shift. Back down, stay up here. Now shift, index, pinky. Now A string shift. Shift. Back down. Shift. Now E string, 1, 2, 3, shift. Index, pinky. If this is your first time playing 2 octave scales, I don't expect you to be able to nail what we just did on your first day, okay? It takes some time to get comfortable with these shifts. But eventually you can get it not only at this speed, but much, much faster. You know, double, even quadruple this tempo is feasible thing to shoot for if you really want to be able to shred on the bass and move around the neck without getting lost and, you know, just totally losing where you are in the scale every time you shift. So that's one of the benefits of practicing these 2 octave scales, is just being able to move around without getting lost. And whether that's in an improvisational context where you want to do cool fills and take solos and stuff, or if you just want to be comfortable playing more complex bass lines that somebody else wrote, this 2 octave scale framework is a really helpful bridge between doing the 1 octave scales and doing the full-on beastly scale exercise that I've talked about a number of times in the past, and that was the subject of my first book. So, of course, in my infinite wisdom, decided to make my first book be really, really horribly hard, Beastly Scales and Arpeggios, which came out, I think back in 2014. And now, finally, I'm releasing the beginner and intermediate material in my new book, Electric Bass Scales and Arpeggios, because that's just how we do things around here at Fossgreen Central, is backwards. So, even if you're not comfortable with this 2 octave scale stuff, there's a bunch of stuff in this book for you. We start out by talking about how to find the names of the notes on your neck and stop being mystified by that, because that's really important for you to understand as a bass player. Then we go through all the scales and arpeggios in 1 octave, major, minor, all the different modes, and triad and 7th chord arpeggios. And then we get into all that same stuff in 2 octaves, which takes up the bulk of the book. And it's all in 12 keys. You don't have to figure anything out yourself. It's all written out there for you. So I've given you the framework to figure out how to do this 2 octave scale business in different keys with different scales. But if you'd like my help in sorting out how that actually works, plus all the other stuff in the book, I encourage you to check that out. It's available at joshfossgreen.com/books. Thank you so much for watching. I love making bass lessons for you guys. I'm happy to be back in the saddle. And I'll see you next time when we will take our G minor 2 octave scale and make some music with it. See you then.